All right, it is 5:30. We will call the City of International Falls regular City Council meeting to order. The first item on the agenda is to pledge allegiance to the flag. If you could please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you, everyone. Please note that all members of the council are present with the exception of Councilor Holden, who let us know town today. First item would be to approve the agenda as written. I don't know of any additions or deletions unless the council has some. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as written.
Move to approve.
We have a motion by Councilor Buller. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Kraus. Any discussion? Hearing none, call the question.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
And I'll vote yes. Motion carries. 4 for the motion, 0 against. Next, we have the approval of the minutes. We have the minutes of May 2nd, 2022, regular City Council meeting. Chair would entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
So move.
We have a motion by Councilor Deitch. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Buller. Discussion? Hearing none, call the question.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
And I'll vote yes. Motion carries 4-0. Next, we go to the minutes of Tuesday, May 3rd, 2022, a special committee of the whole meeting. Chair would entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilor Kraus. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Deitch. Discussion? Hearing none, call the question.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
I'll vote yes. Motion carries 4-0. Next, we have the minutes of Monday, May 9th. That's another committee of the whole meeting. Chair would entertain a motion to approve those.
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilor Buller. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Kraus. Excuse me. Discussion? Hearing none, call the question.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
And I'll vote yes. Motion carries 4-0. Next, we have the resolution for the payments of claims. We have funds going to the 401 permanent improvement in the total amount of $66,666.66. That's coming from the 601 water and the 603 sewer in equal amounts of $33,333.33. We have funds going to the 403 reserve for capital outlay in the amount of $25,760.42. That's coming from the 601 water in the amount of $19,136.17. And from sewer, the 603 fund in the amount of $6,624.25 for total transfers of $92,427.08. Accounts payable, International Falls claims of $626,158.87. Airport Commission claims of $5,804.64. And Library Board claims of $4,142.72. For a total accounts payable of $636,106.23. Chair would entertain a motion to adopt the resolution for the payments of claims and accounts payable.
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilor Kraus. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Councilor Buller. I'll call the question. I'll let you be the first one to go.
All right. Aye. Aye. Aye.
And I'll vote yes. Motion carries 4-0. All right. We don't have any public hearing. I'm sorry. We'll go to audience. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to bring something to the attention of the council? Must be you. Come on up.
You want my name and stuff?
Yes, please.
Kurt Wagner. I live on 340 15th Street East. And I have a couple of questions or problems. The city has quit tearing down buildings, to my knowledge.
Correct.
And nobody's doing it. the town is getting worse off with you people not doing it, because I would say 95% of the people or the ownership of these old buildings can't afford to hire somebody to have it done. And it's just getting worse and worse here. I mean, all you got to do is drive down my street and look. And I think you're going to have to hook up with the county would be the best chance. And dig a cell with them right beside the old cell and start tearing these buildings down. I mean, I think everyone in here is aware of, just by driving around, that it's just getting worse and worse since you people quit tearing them down.
Please.
We, at our Public Works meeting this last month, it was discussed that there's going to be 6 weeks of trimming trees right now that the street department is doing, and then Ted said they got 7 buildings that are going to be torn down after that.
Oh,
there were 9 of them. Now there's down to 7. They did 2.
Again.
Yeah.
But those are houses that were on the list from tax forfeiture before the we quit tearing them down. So they were on a list from beforehand.
Before?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't realize that, but I know that they were.
I do remember you people talking about let the people hire contractors to do it, but the people that have these buildings, they just aren't the kind of people that are going to go out and do that. And these buildings, you got to, with Baldwin now and stuff, he's got, or somebody, or the fire chief, somebody's got to look at these buildings and say, it's either got to be fixed up or down, one or the other.
And that, to be honest, that's where we're at, is they have to be fixed up or tore down. And we have no issue with down the road tearing the houses down, but it ultimately has to be put back on the expense of the homeowners or the property owners. There's other issues that are at play too than just the buildings being tore down. A lot of funding that the city gets comes from having homes that are before 1940. LGA is based off of so there's a whole.
It would hurt your base. I realize that.
Yeah.
But if some of these homes were tore down, like 2-3 of them in a block, someone maybe would build a decent home there.
And that's
that tax base.
And 100%, and that's a concern we have too. But that we don't, by us tearing down the property, we don't at this point retain the ownership of the property. So then you have 3 different property owners that are owning lots that have to then go out to sell those lots. That's part of the issue that we just, actually on tonight's agenda, we have some information from a housing study that we did that goes through some of those specific issues. And these are all things that we've been talking about. And to be honest, we want to take it past just talking about it. We want to take it into action to be able to fix some of those issues. Please.
And what is the status of the demolition? Because I know we had to close our demolition.
We had to close it.
We had to close our land. We had to cap our demolition landfill.
Find another one.
And
do it.
Right. And that was a part of it too, because it was cost prohibitive. Outrageous, actually.
I know,
So-
we had one. Wagner's had
Oh, I
one.
know. But they, the amount of money that they wanted for the pollution monitoring was such that it just didn't make sense to have it open.
Something's got to be done with it. I mean, people, just by driving through town on vacation, don't want to come here and work. I mean, it's not a good sight, a lot of it. And, okay, well, at least you know where I'm coming from on that. And I have another issue with all the 4-wheelers and 3-wheelers and stuff running around town. There must be some kind of law, isn't there, that they can just go anywhere they want?
There is.
Yeah,
Yeah, they can.
they can.
Yeah. Chief?
Yeah, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
We changed the city ordinance. They have to obey all traffic laws as a vehicle to work, but I understand your concern.
It's just crazy over where I live. They all, to head out of town.
Yeah.
snowmobiles in the wintertime and these four-wheelers, three-wheelers, side-by-sides. Everybody's up and down the streets, and the law is they can do that, huh?
As long as they're obeying all the traffic.
Are you people aware that you can't even drive a four-wheeler or a side-by-side on highway right-of-way? You know, that you can give them free access? Joe, you know that. Your whole family got picked up on the highway right in front of my cabin.
We didn't get picked up.
Yes, you did.
Kurt?
Yeah.
I can promise you, we didn't get a ticket. We were stopped by the State Patrol.
Yeah.
And the only issue they had is that somebody wasn't wearing a seatbelt.
Okay, well, anyway, you can't drive on
She told us we could.
right
In St. Louis, absolutely. In St. Louis County, you absolutely can. So I can promise you we didn't get a ticket. The only issue was somebody didn't have a seatbelt on.
Well, then why did they stop you?
To check if we had our seatbelts on.
Oh, okay.
So honestly, I swear to you.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess if you're not going to do anything with, I mean, is there something that the police can do
I
about
can
it?
talk to you after the meeting if you want to sit around, or I can talk to you tomorrow too. There are options, but like you say, if they're following the appropriate traffic laws, it's
Yeah.
difficult. But if you have concerns about them violating that, we can surely pay some attention to that area.
Okay, then. I guess that's, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Anybody else have anything for public comment? All right, we'll go down to new business. Acknowledge the appointment of Sergeant John Maston to the rank of Police Investigator for the International Falls Police Department, effective May 17th, 2022. Chief, do you want to come up and just talk about that?
Hello, everyone. Well, as my letter indicated, we did the application process, the testing, and we were lucky enough to get the right applicant for the right position. As you saw in the letter, Sergeant Maston has obviously been doing a job very similar to the investigator role for several years now. In reflecting on our pick for the investigator, I'm proud to say that the duties he's carrying out and has carried out stand with the bigger cities. I don't know how aware you are with our affiliation with the task force, but what kind of caught me by surprise as I kind of became more familiar with the different duties that I've been doing is we've actually surpassed a lot of the bigger counties with the drug seizures and arrests in our county. And I think the fact that a lot of us aren't in the public completely aware of just how widespread narcotics are in our community is a testament to how good these investigations are going and the relationships we have with all the other counties to keep the drugs out of our area. So like I had said at previous meetings, my goal is just continue the good work we're doing and just have better tools to equip our department with them. So I'm happy with our selection.
I appreciate that. All right, I'm just trying to see if we have any, I'm actually,
6B.
I was just going to say, well, I have you up here, I'm going to move down to 6B on the agenda and approve Deputy Chief of Police position with within the city, the police department. If you want to just talk about that one really quick.
And again, it goes right in line with all the other house cleaning as we've been doing for the past year, trying to get the right people in the right positions and getting the different positions in the police department to better serve the community. The deputy chief historically in the past has been a part of the police department, and for whatever reason, in recent memory, it has been kind of relegated to the captain role. I think the big change we're looking at here is, like we've outlined, and Sherry's helped me out putting this together, is we identified a lot of key needs that our department needs with administration and to better serve the city, and it's kind of a lopsided checks and balance we have right now. An optimal police department would have the first and second in command salary positions to better able just to make a smoother resource allocation in the department. Right now, in most cities, you don't see just a chief on an island as a salary position with the rest of the department as a typical union structure, and it's really kind of hampered historically our ability to effectively manage and provide service to the city. The deputy chief would allow us to expand the administrative role of the second-in-command position. And I don't know if you have any questions for me about that specifically, or...
Does anybody have any questions regarding it?
As we noted, it wouldn't be an additional member. We'd just be reallocating the resources like we've been doing.
Okay. So at this time, then the chair would ask for a motion to approve the deputy chief of police position within the police department.
So moved.
We have a motion by Councillor Kraus. Do we have a second? A second by Councillor Buller. Any discussion? Hearing none, call the question.
Aye.
Aye.
I'll vote yes. Motion carries 4-0. Thanks a lot, Chief.
Thank you.
How about the first one?
The first one was just information.
You should,
It says council action.
Council action.
excuse me, Mayor, if I may.
All right. All right, yes.
Mayor and council, you should actually make a motion acknowledging his appointment, his official appointment within the department.
I will make that motion.
Excellent choice, Councillor Kraus. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Councillor Deitch. Any discussion? If not, I'll call the question.
Aye.
Aye.
And I'll vote yes. Motion carries 4-0. So John Maston will be the new police
Josh.
Josh.
I don't think John's coming out of retirement.
All right, Josh Maston will be the new police investigator for the City of International Falls, and we have a new deputy chief police position to be filled. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Consider the adoption of resolution declaring the adequacy of petition and ordering preparation of feasibility study for the stabilization and bituminous paving of 6th Avenue between 17th Street and 18th Street. City Administrator, do you want to give us just a little background on this one?
Yes, Mayor and Council, a petition was presented to me by resident Clay Bergstrom, who petitioned the residents within the block of 1700 and 1800 of 6th Avenue for stabilization and paving. And I had then forwarded that petition to our city engineer for verification that it met the 35% rule in order to move a petition forward to the city council to then order a feasibility study if they chose to do that. The feasibility study would tell residents of the area what it would cost per footage for frontage of this improvement. This begins the process. There will be public hearings and other informational meetings further, so residents that did not sign the petition would be informed and have a chance to, talk, as well as those who did, sign the petition in that area.
Okay, and I see that there was only 3 signatures, and with that being said, there's quite a few parcels. Was everyone discussed with, or was it just going for the minimum to be able to move the process forward?
It was my understanding that each of them were contacted.
Okay. All right, so at this time, the chair would entertain a motion to adopt the resolution declaring the petition.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion by Councillor Buller. We have a second by Councillor Deitch. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, I'll call the question.
Aye.
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 And I'll vote yes. Motion carries 4-0. Next, approve request to advertise for bids for the 2022 Lift Station 7 Rehabilitation project. We will go to Councillor Buller for a little background on that.
Well, this lift station is going to be rebuilt from the inside out, basically. Not the structure will still stay, but there's going to be a new pump put in. It's going to be a variable pump so that when it does kick on, it's not going to just slam. It's going to come on easy. It's going to pump more water than our original one does, which has been from, I think he said it's 20 years old. And the problem has been that it hasn't been able to keep up. And so by doing this, it should be able to, and it's also going to have a generator in this lift station hooked up, and in case power goes off, it'll still run.
Okay. So Chair would entertain a motion to approve the request to advertise.
So moved.
We have a motion by Councillor Buller. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councillor Kraus. Discussion?
Question.
Please.
Where is this lift station located? Is that the Van Linn station?
It's the one by the
McDonald's.
McDonald's station.
McDonald's,
Number
okay.
7, yeah.
And at the pub, I know where you're going with this. At the Public Works, we have started the discussion on the one that you're referring to.
All right.
So, any other questions? Hearing none, call the question.
Aye.
Aye.
And I will vote yes. Motion carries 4-0. Next, we have a agreement for use of the city IFEDA property near the Voyagers National Park headquarters building to rent electric bikes to Voyagers e-bike rentals and tours. This is an agreement that we've had for the previous 2 years. I don't believe there's been any changes other than dates because it's been working really well. Is that accurate?
That is correct.
Okay. So the chair would entertain a motion to move forward with that agreement for another year.
So move.
We have a motion by Councillor Deitch. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councillor Kraus. Discussion? Hearing none, call the question.
Aye.
Aye.
And I'll vote yes. Motion carries 4-0. Next, we have a couple of recommendations from land use and legislation. First one would be to approve a revised park use agreement to include fee for private vendors. Chair would entertain a motion to move forward with that agreement.
So move.
We have a motion by Councillor Deitch. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Councillor Buller. Any discussion? Just a little background on this for everyone. We have not had a park use agreement in the past, and we do have people that look to set up at random times in the year and utilize the park. We just want to make sure that we know who's in the park, so people are not just going in and setting up whenever they want. So it's a very minimal fee. $25 a day or $50 a week. And again, all of those still have to come to council for approval to be able to do that, just so we know who's accessing and utilizing the park. That is not accurate. Please.
We have not in the past, I mean, people have made reservations to use the parks, and they go through our TULIP program to pay for the insurance. The only thing different with this application is for-profit vendors.
Right.
We have added a fee, so they're plugging into the utilities, using the electricity. We don't have water at any of them, so that wouldn't be the case. But this would just be for them to, kind of recouping a little bit of our costs for the electricity that they are using. We have not in the past, we've always had the authority to administratively handle those within the department, within my department. Now, if that's a change, we can definitely handle that. But that slows down the process with those who call a week before they want to use Smoky Bear Park for an event, if that's the case.
Well, and for the way I was looking at it, and it's fine either way. The way I was understanding is for the for-profit reservation fees for that, because historically those have all come to council.
You are correct on
And
the
that's what I was
for-profit
looking at.
ones, yes.
And for the
Correct.
nonprofit one, or for birthday parties or whatever, we have no
Continue
concern.
with those. You
Yeah.
still want to see the for-profit ones in front of this group.
I would think so.
Right.
Yeah. All right, so we have a motion and a second. I'll call the question.
Aye.
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 I'll vote yes. Motion carries 4-0. Next, credit card use policy. I assume that was not police policy. Revised credit card use policy and approve department-issued credit cards. Background on this one?
Yeah, Mayor and Council, the city has always had a city credit card. We don't encourage a lot of charges. We want to see them shop locally as much as they can or use a regular charge account so that we get invoiced, so everything, is very clear and in front of us. So we don't use them a lot. However, with today's time and where we're at, they're needed. And we only have one at the current moment, and that is under my name, where now with the different companies out there, they don't have to be under specific names. They can be under the city, and then each department will be responsible to handle those charges, balance them on a monthly basis, and provide and turn them in for payment. Sherry, did I miss anything? No. Okay.
All right, so at this time, I would accept a motion to approve the credit card use policy.
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilor Deitch. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Kraus. Discussion? Just for background, how many credit cards are we getting, and then what departments and department heads are going to be holding those? How are we going about that?
It would just be police, fire, ambulance, public works, and administration would still have one, so it'd just be 5.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Hearing none, call the question.
Aye.
Aye.
And I'll vote yes. Motion carries 4-0. Next, we go to the Committee of the Whole recommendations. Part A, approve the housing location study as prepared by Bolton Mink and presented by Mike Thompson from Bolton Mink. Chair would entertain a motion to approve that housing location study.
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilor Kraus. We have a second by Councilor Buller. Discussion? Did you want to? So we did have this, and you can see it in the minutes of our Committee of the Whole meeting when we had this to look at. It's a great study. It has a lot of land, property, and areas that are able to build. Gives us opportunities to move forward, and I think that the council is very eager to do that, working with the local HRA and doing some things ourselves. The study's really good, and there is a couple of things that were pointed out in the Committee of the Whole, and Councilor Kraus pointed out specifically the property that is adjacent to Keenan Drive, which ends up being the Manka Ski Trail. It's in here too, and we want to make sure everyone knows that is state land. It may be able to be used for housing. We are not suggesting that it's being used for housing, but it is something that was identified in this study as a potential or a possibility. We wanted to make sure that all things are on the table when we're dealing with housing, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we are pushing or moving for any one area of what comes out in this study. So just wanted to point that out because it was a big piece of conversation that we had at the Committee of the Whole. Does anyone else have anything else to add? Please.
I'm just going to say it's a really good study. I think it's a 10,000-foot view of the city and really kind of identifies areas that we can improve on, areas that are there's some potential. One thing I liked is that it took a look at not just ownership, but whether or not there's utilities at the site, if the sites are wet as per the DNR. So I think Bolton and Mink did a really nice job kind of identifying some of these larger parcels in the city and kind of ordered them in shovel ready to not so shovel ready. So if there's anybody that's interested in building in the city of International Falls, get your hands on a copy of this because it's a good start anyway. There's no guarantees that any of this land will be available, but it at least gives you an idea of what could potentially be available.
And you just jogged my memory on one of the other things that came up in the study. There are public lands, private lands that are in here, and one of the things that was identified is to be able to work with the owners of the properties and put some of those lands on our website so people know who to contact if they are interested in. And then this gives an opportunity of being able to see, like you pointed out, utilities are already going to that property. There is no wetland issues. It's ready to build. So that's one of the things that we have to look at too, is making sure that our zoning ordinances and all of our information for builders, along with the study, along with lands that are available to people that are both inside and outside of the area. So there was some really good stuff that came out of this, and I hate studies because they're only as good if you don't put it as they're only paper if you don't put them into practice. And I think that this council is very much interested in trying to put the study into practice, because we've had a housing study in the past. This is the housing study that the city is looking at to move forward. We've shared it with the Housing Collaborative. We've shared it with the HRA. And I think we are ready to try to market some of these properties for new builds. So, and it also has rehabs in here too. I think that has to be understood as well. And what kind of resources can we access to be able to fix up and maintain properties that are on the verge of not being able to be fixed up. If we can get them up and moving again and be quality housing, it's one less that has to be tore down. So I guess that pretty much explains it. And if anybody else has anything to add? Hearing none, I'll call the question.
Aye.
Aye.
And I will vote yes. Motion carries 4-0. We'll go down to C because we've already handled 6B. Approve a resolution approving the 2022 wages and benefits for non-union employees. Chair would entertain a motion to approve that.
So moved.
We have a motion by Councillor Buller. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Councillor Kraus. Discussion? Hearing none, call the question.
Aye.
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 And I will vote yes. Motion carries 4-0. Next, we have a proposal for legal services. Chair would entertain a motion to approve the RFP proposal to be sent out.
So moved.
We have a motion by Councillor Kraus. Do we have a second?
Second?
We have a second by Councillor Deitch. Any discussion?
Mayor, if I may.
Please.
In talking with Sherry, we are just wanting to clarify, and maybe we could work with Steve if you guys are okay with that, on the organizations to, on the very back of it, to send the proposal to, where we advertise and the different areas, whether or not, some of the international Lawyers Association is necessary or not, or just stay with the Minnesota. So, that highlighted those. We just wanted to bring those to your attention, that on where we'd be advertising. And if you're okay with that, I'll kind of work with Steve if he may have, additional areas or organizations, I should say, to advertise it.
Sure. And are we concerned on the dates on the second or third page of this? Because that was the scheduled request, or is administration going to pick that up? Or
Well, I think we can probably run with the scheduled timeline that's laid out there upon approval dates. That's why we're kind of holding on that. Right. And so as soon as it's approved and you're comfortable with that, then we would just move it forward from there.
Okay, Council, any input on where to send the proposals? Or okay with administration just working with the city attorney to verify that? My personal thought. Oh, please. Oh,
Mr. Mayor. I think that the half dozen places listed, I can't think of any additional ones that we would add to that. I do have a concern about the draft. I think it's a little vague in terms of what would be covered by the retainer and what would be done on an hourly basis, particularly on the on the civil side of it. I would just looking at this myself, and if I was applying for the position, I think you may end up with highly inflated retainer amounts because they're not sure how many hours they're going to have to put in. You may want to, and this is just an idea, include something in terms of the retainer covers X number of hours towards this, and then if you were exceeding those hours, then you could approach the city, can we invoke the billable hours kinds of things, because it looks like a tremendous amount of work. I'm afraid you're going to get proposals that are going to be perhaps double what you pay me. And one of the concerns is trying to keep costs down. And the way I would look at this proposal is I think, and again, you're not required to accept proposals. You can go forward and see what they are, and then go through the process again or amend the process. You don't have to accept applicants. But I would, I think it's hard to know what exactly, if they're submitting a price, what exactly are they committing to do? How much hours, how many works, and it's very detailed. But on the civil side of it, when I look at it, the only two ways that they would get additional billable hours is if they were going to a special council meeting, or if on a real estate transaction it was something out of the ordinary. Otherwise, everything would be covered, and the range of services. 90% of what's in these range of services are things that I was never required to do. We didn't have to do. I mean, it could come up, but it doesn't. For the size city we are, I mean, this almost looks, and I don't, I'm sure there was a format that came from somewhere, but it seems more geared to a very large community rather than to a smaller community like International Falls. I would think it'd be more productive to try to fine-tune the proposal before publishing it and seeking requests. That's my thought. It'd be very hard for me if I were trying to do this, even having done it for a number of years, to properly, because for instance, if all litigation and all different things are included in the retainer, one case could be, back before I was city attorney and the lawsuit with the county and so forth. I mean, the expenditure on attorney's fees was horrendous. And if you're locking somebody in as a retainer that, okay, this is this fixed amount, we're only going to bill this amount, they're going to build themselves in some leeway there. So I think somehow tying it more directly to the hours involved would be beneficial for the city and would help the people submitting proposals knowing and understanding exactly what am I offering to do here. I think it's a little bit vague.
I guess I would agree with that. And I saw both the city administrator and human resources, as soon as you started saying that, started jotting down notes. So it seems as if it's something that does make sense. Thoughts from you two?
Well, I think it was intentionally left vague because we wanted to leave it open. I know we've discussed civil versus criminal and the opportunities there, but we wanted to leave it open in case somebody wanted to take it all on. And then if they didn't want to take it all on, how could we split it up and make it more feasible for two people to kind of do the same work Steve does, but not be as much time on any one individual.
And I think that's fine. I mean, and that's pretty clear in there.
Right.
You can apply for either one, or you can apply for both. The concern I have is that you don't know it seems like most everything is lumped under the retainer, and you're wanting to have a fixed amount in there. But I think that it's going to be very hard for somebody to submit something if they don't know how many hours it's going to end up being. And it could vary widely depending upon, if some litigation comes up. I mean, and again, this is something that, the three of us could visit on if the council wants to address this at at the next city of the whole meeting or something. We could work something up between now and then. But I would think if you're in your retainer, you were saying, we expect the retainer to cover the first X number of hours, which may be all of the hours, depending upon what happens. But if it's going to exceed that, then we've got this hourly rate, and the council could be approached to authorize work beyond the retainer at this hourly rate so that it wouldn't, mine has always been open-ended. There's never been any retainer. I mean, there's been $1,000 a month that got added in to help with my office and secretarial staff. But basically, it was just all by the hour. I understand the desire to have a little firmer control on how much it's going to be each year. But if there's, if you just look at the proposal and the amount of work that's there, you might get a proposal on the civil end for, $150,000 because it's not going to know how much is involved. There's no limitation. So, I mean, that's just my thought.
Well, and I would think it would be, I apologize.
Oh, please,
I think
please.
it would be somewhat hard to put hours in, and maybe you can help us with that, because if we get two different firms that apply, one civil, one criminal, one's great here, one's great here, well, that's going to make a difference on the number of hours for retainer then as well, I would think.
Well, it would, but I mean, you've got a civil proposal and you've got a criminal proposal, and you'd have different hours for one. I mean, my time has been about 3/4 criminal and 1/4 civil, but I mean, that could change.
To help us assess what those hours might look like, to be able to put it into a proposal.
I mean, I'm happy to help if you want me to.
Councilor
Mayor, it sounds like maybe we should table this for the time being and get the problems ironed out, if there is any.
I would agree with that too. The one issue that I have with tabling it, and it's just my thought, I have no issue if we table it, is the timing that we're trying to push to move this forward. But I also don't want to push something out there that is going to not be right for the city in the long run either. So it's a timing thing. We don't have another council meeting for another 3 weeks, so that almost loses a month of the process. Please.
Is there going to be a special council meeting in between yet for the DTEC?
No, I had that discussion with the city administrator. The first reading of the contract ordinance has to be the one that it comes up at. You can have a special city council for a second reading, but not the first. So it still gets us to 3 weeks.
Okay.
We could have a special council meeting to discuss this to finalize it. Or we can also just allow staff to hammer out the details, and I would be fine with that too. I don't think that there's going to be anything that is drastically changing that we're not going to be okay with. Please.
And I think as per the charter, we're not bound to this, so we could get all of these proposals and we could throw them all in the, dare I say, we can hire this however we see fit as per the charter. I'm correct on that? I mean, we decided that we were going to take proposals, but I think we can look at it however we want, right? But I guess my thought would be, aside from that one sticking point, this is a well-written document. Mm-hmm. So let them hammer that out and get it out there, because again, we're not going to be meeting until June. What's our meeting dates? What, like the 5th of June or something? Mm-hmm. it's quite a ways out. So 6th, whatever it is, yeah. That's our next regular city council meeting, so that would push it out quite a ways.
If the council's okay with it, I would be fine with the city attorney, city administrator, and human resources director to be able to just hammer this out with the blessing of the council to move forward with any changes.
Do we have a?
We have a motion and a second for the proposal right now. You made the motion.
I would amend
for that.
Amend for that. Yeah.
Okay.
Amend for them to make
I agree.
that change.
Okay, and Councilor Deitch was the one who seconded, and he agrees with that. So we have.
Sure. Let's get it out there.
Okay, so we're just asking for you three to come up with any changes that need to, and then okay to move forward with it. Any other discussion, please,
Well, and I
Steve?
would agree with Councilor Kraus. It's an excellent, thorough, well-written document. I think the only thing that needs to be worked on is to clarify what's covered under retainer and what's billable hours. And that shouldn't be difficult or time-consuming to, we could get something done in the next couple of days, I would think, so.
Okay, great. And I think that fixes a lot of the situation on that. All right, so we have a motion and a second to move forward with the request for proposal with any changes that come out of the meeting with the city attorney, city administrator, and the human resources director. Any other discussion? Hearing none, call the question.
Aye.
Aye.
And I'll vote yes, motion carries 4-0. Next, consider an application for use of Smoky Bear Park on May 17th for the Fun Food Factory. Chair would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilor Buller. Do we have a second?
A second.
We have a second by Councilor Kraus. Discussion? Just saying, it's preschool graduation. It's a big deal. Please.
It is. And I did speak with the Assistant Public Works Director, and with the weather and the conditions of the grounds, they are aware that they may not be able to park in the park on the 27th, depending upon weather, and they understood that, were very receptive to parking on the street and having the window. They have windows, I believe, on both sides of their vehicles, so having it, on the street to be able to still serve is, they are understanding to that.
Okay. Sounds good. So we have a motion and a second to approve. I'll call the question.
Aye.
Aye.
And I'll vote yes, motion carries 4-0. Next, consider an application for Smoky Bear Park June 18th through the 26th during the PCA shutdown for the Fun Food Factory as well. Chair would entertain a motion for that.
So move.
We have a motion by Councilor Deitch. Do we have a second?
I will second.
We have a second by Councilor Kraus. Discussion?
Mr. Mayor?
Please.
So the agenda says the 26th, but the application says the 25th.
Let's go to the 26th then.
Okay.
All right, we have a motion and a second for 18th through the 26th.
I'm just saying.
I'll call the question.
Aye.
Aye.
And I'll vote yes, motion carries 4-0. Next, we have adoption of a resolution in support of the Federal Emergency Management Agency, the Mitigation Plan. This came out before us at the Committee of the Whole meeting. It is a huge document. There have been some minor changes found by the Public Works Department. As far as I know, there wasn't anything major besides that. I'll hand it to the City Administrator.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Yes, this is a document that actually they've been working on for the previous 2 years. Administrator Anderson, Chief Manassa were the representatives, and Chief Koschek, probably not Chief Koschek at the time, but Maston probably had some input as well for this document. And then the document was sent to FEMA and the Homeland Security. And those individuals have finally approved this the document as is. So yes, Mr. Anderson's name is still in there. There's other little things, but at the time, that's the information. It would be approved as is. And then, the last report was 2014, I believe. And so again, in a few years, it would be relooked at and updated accordingly and gone through the same process. So that's where the process is at, is that each individual city will need to review their information and look at the document as a whole and then approve it.
Okay. So the chair would ask for a motion to adopt the resolution in support of the Federal Emergency Management Agency Mitigation Plan. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilor Kraus. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Councilor Buller. Discussion? Hearing none, call the question.
Aye.
Aye.
I'll vote yes, motion carries 4-0. Any other business to come before the council? Go to boards, committees, department heads, reports of the administrator, attorney, and department heads. City attorney.
Mr. Mayor and Council, two things. One, I met with Joe Boyle at the request of the council, and he's also in the process of winding down his practice and has been turning away business that pays significantly more than what I'm being paid or we would propose that he would pay. However, he was a city attorney for probably 30 years or more, and he feels like he wants the city to succeed. He wants to help. So he's agreed on a limited and kind of a trial basis to see how it goes, to try to help out through this emergency situation over the next few months. So one of the stipulations is, and we've talked about this, is that he doesn't currently have any secretarial staff there with him, so he would be relying upon the city's staff, and I know there was an indication that the summer employee could be made available to assist with him with the paperwork and complaints and those kinds of things, and he would be happy to try to assist with the blight situation. He's not interested in working on the rental licensing aspect of it, so that would remain with me, and we'd have him focus on the blight, and so if the probably to move forward on that, we should have the city adopt a motion to designate him as an assistant city attorney, working with me as, I suppose, I approve, and his bills would come as part of my bills, and that I would pay him. I would write checks from my office to him.
Okay. I guess I would have to ask a legal question. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay.
You have the ability. Well, and as Councilman Kraus has indicated, you can appoint a city attorney. There can be multiple city attorneys. There's lots of cities that have all kinds of.
Fair enough.
There's a city attorney, and then there can be an assistant, city attorney. So he would be assistant city attorney.
Fair enough.
Just on his, so that he has some authority for the documents that he's signing and putting out there.
All right. So do we need to put a timeline on this to the end of the year or whatever? Because it would basically be under your practice. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, I would say as needed, not to exceed the calendar year 2022.
Okay. So Chair would entertain a motion to add Joe Boyle as the assistant city attorney, not to exceed this calendar year.
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilor Deitch. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Councilor Kraus. Any discussion? Hearing none, call the question.
Aye.
Aye.
I'll vote yes. Motion carries 4-0.
I have one other matter that I want to discuss with the council, and that has to do with our service of documents. In the past, the county has on criminal cases, they've always, deputy sheriffs have served all of our documents and papers at no cost to the city. One of the things that we're running into now is on these blight situations, we resolve some of the cases, but one of the agreements is that they not have future violations for the next year. And we're having several that have not complied with that, and we're having to go back and bring them back to court again. It's under what's called an order to show cause. And in the past, they never charged us for these orders to show cause. We did one last week, and now we've gotten a bill from the county to serve this of $75. And they've got a new individual handling those service things. And they also are kind of operating without a working administrator to rule on it. And so the sheriff, we've been exchanging emails, and the sheriff has taken the position that unless we can find a state statute that requires them to serve it at no cost to us, they're going to charge us a fee. So my question is, do we want to have them serve these and pay the $75 fee, or there's no requirement that it be served by a law enforcement officer. It could be served, it could be served by somebody in our police department. It could be served by somebody that's just an employee, and this could conceivably, most of these are going to be in the blight and rental licensing areas. So even conceivably during the summer, when we've got the summer intern here, that person could go serve the documents, sign an affidavit that I served them at this time and place, and there wouldn't be any additional cost to us. We'd just be redirecting. And for most of these people, Jared is going to have been having contact with them and know where they're at, so I don't, there are certainly some situations where we just can't find people, or they've left the area or whatever, they're homeless. But that's something that it doesn't need to be decided here tonight, but at the next City of the Whole meeting, and maybe there should be some discussion between Betty and some of the city staff as to what do you prefer, which method do you want to prefer.
I have a handful of questions about that, but that's exactly how I wanted to handle that, is to either have some time or send that to Land Use and Legislation, the Committee of the Whole, wherever, to have that discussion. But I would be interested to understand the change of how that happened. Is it just because of the sheer amount that the city's handling?
New
or
personnel.
Is it
New personnel.
And to be completely honest with you, I'm not even opposed to it that they would be charging. We all know, even in our city, we have to charge for new things because we have to recoup costs and stuff. I get it. But I think we need some time to figure that out and see how we move forward. But City Administrator, do you have any ideas of where we should send that to have the discussion?
I think it's probably more of a Committee of the Whole situation.
Okay.
We'll need to look and see what state statutes may apply as far as whether or not they should have been charging us all along, or they shouldn't have, or why they're beginning to do it now.
And to be completely honest, I just want to make sure that we're not the only city that's being charged for it. We have other cities that are in the county. I want to make sure that it's being charged equilaterally.
Well, let me clarify. They're not saying they're going to charge us for all criminal, because the service of criminal things, that is in the law. Okay, yeah, it's now come up because this is what's called an order to show cause, and you can have order to show causes in civil cases. You can have order to show causes in criminal cases.
Okay.
These happen to be in criminal cases. We had a number of them with the prior administrator and the prior person that was sending out the bills. They knew that, and they didn't bill us, and so I'm bringing it to your attention because this is something unexpected. We got a bill for something that for years we haven't been charged for.
Okay.
And I think it's all because of change of personnel over there, and perhaps a lack of somebody to make that financial decision.
And I think we just have to look at what options that we have and move forward with it. I don't think it's going to be a problem, but I think it's something we have to definitely take a look at. So we'll put that on the Committee of the Whole then for June.
That's all I have.
Okay. City Administrator?
I have nothing further, Mayor.
Okay. Department heads? I only see one.
Nothing.
All right. In your report, you have, or in your packet, you have the police monthly report and the fire rescue EMS monthly report. We'll go to the reports of the mayor, council, committees, boards, and commissions. Anybody have anything today? The only thing I have is regarding the flooding and Cary Park and City Beach. Both of them are being used currently for the sandbagging efforts, and as I understand it, they're struggling to get volunteers.
City Beach.
Did they pull the stuff from City Beach?
They couldn't get in there. The truck just sunk right in. They went
Okay.
to Bowman Landing and to, where else? 2 other spots just a little further down. Tilson. Yeah.
and Island View.
Okay. So I was just going to say that at least at Cary Park, they are still looking for volunteers. Today, they were very, very short on volunteers. And, you know, if you can volunteer, it would be greatly appreciated. City Attorney.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, we have drug court every other Thursday, and we're not having it in the courtroom this Thursday. All of the participants, and there's probably 22 or 23 now, are going to go to Cary Park for 2 hours and help sandbag. So that's going to help somewhat.
Okay, excellent. And that's the only thing I have on for my report. Anybody in the audience have anything to bring forward? Hearing none, you have correspondence in your packet from the North Cooch Sanitary District. We are going to be closed for Memorial Day, Monday, May 30th. Our next city council meeting is going to be on June 6th at 5:30. This meeting is adjourned.